following on from our previous look at the king of emulation. Which is the Steam Deck, of
Obviously.
course. Of course. We wanted to, bring some other devices into the mix.
The emulation game.
Yes.
Well, yes. So we did. We put it hard on the Steam Deck that it is the king of emulation. And if you're looking for the most versatile emulating device, the Steam Deck offers the best value.
Of course. Yeah.
But it would be remiss of us to ignore Ambernic in this conversation.
And the slew of other devices out there.
There's loads.
There's millions. But we've got a couple of devices from Ambernic here, some of the newest ones.
Yes.
So we have this one just here.
Which is the RG35XX Plus. I'm not reading this off camera. It's not written down here.
Well, they've got such catchy names, Like everyone remembers and loves the RG35.
Almost exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And we've got the kind of horizontal version, which is the RG556.
Yeah, so that's a slightly different one. They actually do a horizontal version of the 35XX for horizontal, which is basically the same as this one, but horizontal, and it's got dual thumbsticks and,
makes a lot more sense. I guess it makes sense to say really off the bat straight away, the 35XX Plus is slightly less powerful than the 3556.
Yes.
Or the 556, sorry.
Just throw numbers out there.
Why is there so many numbers? Why don't you just give them a name?
The big one and the small one.
Give it a name.
That's what we're calling them, the big one and the small one,
So we can, as we can see in the screen, we can play like GameCube games and stuff like that. You can't on the
little
other one. Can we call it something like the Game Boy one and the non-Game Boy one?
The small one and the big one.
The Game Gear one.
Yes. Yeah, the big one is more, I'm going with big and little here, but
the big one.
The big one is more powerful.
Yes.
You can play, like you said, GameCube games on there, like all sorts of stuff, PS2 and all that kind of good stuff. Whereas the little one is your older stuff. You can play PS1 titles on here, Game Boy games and stuff like that instead. And obviously there is a price difference due to the amount of performance that you're going to get. So straight off the bat.
It's interesting pricing points. I would always imagine that things like the Ambernics are aimed at people looking for a budget emulator that offers like a beautiful screen and
and a dedicated, like, because some people aren't into modern gaming at all. They just want a portable, small form factor emulation device. So something like this is perfect because look at the size difference from the Steam Deck.
Aesthetically, it's beautiful, like ergonomics and stuff. Everyone loves that Game Boy form factor, and that's obviously what they've gone in. The kind of minimal, I won't say there's no bezels because there clearly is, but the minimal bezel, the fact that it fills the screen, fills the frame, that's really cool.
It's lovely. Yeah.
Price point on that is...
It's around 60 quid.
I mean, that's pretty good.
It's really good, really.
It's hard to ignore that.
It's hard to ignore that. If you've already got a big collection of games and you've legally sourced the ROMs,
obviously,
then this kind of thing is perfect for playing PS1 games, Game Boy games, like any of those kind of era games, like PS1 and below, or like I said, like handheld stuff. So you've got like Neo Geo Pocket Color that you can play on here and stuff like that. Whereas if you want that kind of more PS2 upwards kind of thing, then you're looking at the big one because it's more powerful. It's got a chip inside it. It's got dual analog sticks, Hall effect sticks just there. You've got analog triggers as well. You can knock the volume up right when you hit the microphone.
How did that happen?
And this is actually running Android. So this is an Android operating system as well. But this, you're looking at like more than double the price of one of these. You're looking at like 3 times the price of one of these.
£180.
They're about 180 quid. So
okay. So this is the point in which I start really having to be difficult about them. And start really kind of questioning it. £180. That's a lot. So it's 200 quid. It's a £200 price point.
Yeah.
We're getting close.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking
at the LCD model,
look at a refurb LCD model, you're like 50 quid more and you've got a Steam Deck.
And okay, it's £180, so you would expect it to be slightly more premium.
Yes.
I've got to be honest, the chassis is horrible. It's polished plastic of some kind that's very thin feeling.
It's not very nice, is it?
And oh my God.
It's got Joy-Con joysticks.
Why have they used those joysticks?
They're horrible.
Apparently they're Hall effect.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So they won't drift or anything.
Right.
But
there's a lot of friction going on there
they're
inside.
Disgusting. There's no movement on them, so that's the problem with the Joy-Cons. There's no throw, and they're really not very accurate either. So even
skatey.
they're like your inputs don't feel precise as they would with a real joystick, like on the Steam Deck. It's just not very nice.
The buttons are like those kind of Skittles buttons. They're tiny, mushy. They flail around in their housing. The bumpers and the triggers. The bumpers are all right for membrane bumpers.
Yeah, they're all right.
The triggers, don't get me started. Okay, so they're horrible. They feel like someone's got a spring under my finger, and they're like flicking my finger back out.
AJ's letting it all out today.
Well, I'll be a lot more kind to the 35XX Plus, the small one, because it's £60, 60 to £80.
Yeah, absolutely.
180
quid.
It's got to be good.
Yeah.
It's not. It feels horrible.
I mean, it's got a 16:9 screen, obviously aimed at those games, but as we found with playing some like PS2 games, they don't natively boot up and into that resolution.
16:9 screen for games that are meant to be played in 4:3.
Yeah.
You're going to have some issues unless they've really figured out the kind of upscaling and stretching.
Yeah, that's the thing. Even with the GameCube here, that's stretched.
It's stretched horribly as well.
It's like, stretched to that screen size.
Stretched. I mean, it's a big screen.
It's a nice screen. The screen's nice. I like the quality of the screen. It's good.
If this was priced at 120.
Yeah.
100 to 120, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm on board with that.
100 quid would be like amazing.
Yeah, for an emulating device, it's a nice bit of hardware. It's a lovely screen. It's nice and bright and vibrant stuff to look at.
Yeah, the screen's good quality.
But obviously, how the game performs on it and looks is all down to how the emulation's been done.
Yeah.
When we look at this GameCube game, it's not been done well.
It doesn't run perfectly, does it? I mean, the opening scene to Wind Waker just here was running at like between 20 and 24 FPS, and it was flickering. It was popping
all over the place.
It was horrible. Like it was not very nice at all.
I can see that there's no hardware upscaling that's been done. It's literally the image has been stretched out.
Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah.
So you can see like the hard edges to stuff.
Yeah. There's
the kind of lower resolution that's just been stretched out to a bigger screen.
Yeah.
It's really unattractive.
Yeah, and just I'm not used to personally using an Android emulator. I'm used to these, the smaller ones kind of style, or the Steam Deck again, which again we'll get onto because it's totally different. But the whole experience with this big one is horrible.
Yes.
So I don't like it booting up into Android. There's just stuff everywhere. It's like, what's going on with this?
I'll be honest, my experience has been totally ruined by how good the Steam Deck emulation experience is.
Yeah.
There's no mystery to it.
No.
When I boot into this Android device...
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
It's like, what am I doing? Yeah.
There's too many options straight away.
Yeah.
And then you do have a big picture mode.
Yes.
But it's not the thing you boot into. You boot into Android.
Yeah, you boot into Android.
So it looks like you're looking at a mobile phone, and then you swipe up to go into the kind of the menu system, the Windows system, and it's horrible. So you're just confronted with all the different emulators that are on it.
Yeah.
What do I do? And you're like, oh, there's a button at the bottom. You press that and it switches to big picture mode. And then it's a little bit better.
Yeah. Now the software that it comes with out of the box isn't great either. No. I mean, you can flash it with your own like emulators and like OS as such, which people online that are way more clued up on recommend.
Yeah.
They say that what comes shipped with is not great.
Yeah.
So just flash it with like a homebrew style thing.
And this is my problem as a comparison to the Steam Deck. If you're going to get to a stage where to get the best out of this £180 bit of hardware, you need to be techie with it.
You need to already be in the game, the emulation scene, really.
If that's the point you need to get to, then use Steam Deck.
Steam Deck is so much easier. I mean,
so much easier.
As a user interface, when I first started getting into emulation, you've got to start thinking about ROMs, about BIOS files, and then on top of that, all these weird OSs that these systems come with, and then trying to get the emulators working, like again, by putting biofiles in the right place, having the right type of files to even run. And the same with the ROMs. They have to be the right type of ROM and stuff. It's all like confusing, and it doesn't hold your hand at all. There's no guides. You just get that in the box, done. So you can't just buy that and live somewhere with no internet and figure it out. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have the internet to go through guides to how to set these up out of the box, and they're not easy, and you can easily balls it up.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
it feels like you could.
Yeah.
Even without wanting to like dig around too much. When you're first confronted with it, from a kind of layman's perspective, it's like, I feel like I could break this really easily.
Yeah. It just feels janky. Like the whole experience is janky to me.
Yeah.
Like it feels like I've gone to a Chinese market and bought like some dodgy, like illegal bit of kit. Do you know what I mean? Like it just all feels like something's going to break at some point.
Yes.
Less so with the little one. Like I find this works a bit better, but the same thing, setting it up is all down on you, and you've got to know how to do it. Like I, for some reason, find this easier, probably because it's not running Android.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm more used to this.
Yep.
And I've already had the headaches of setting these kind of things up in the past. That was something different for me because I've always just emulated like Game Boy games and PlayStation 1 games and stuff like that, which, again, you can run into issues when you're looking at multiple disc games and stuff like that. Like, if you don't know what you're doing, and I'm still on the side of, I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm still like at the bottom end of emulation.
Yeah.
These kind of things are a hard sell to me.
Yes.
Like I wouldn't spend 180 quid on that. Like, I would just say that now. I would not buy one.
That's the point in which I switch off.
Yeah.
I need to get the best out of it, I need to be knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And I'm spending close to the Steam Deck entry point.
Yeah.
So if I accept that I need to have some knowledge, then I might as well use that some knowledge space in my head to have the some knowledge for the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And I'll get a better experience.
Yes.
And I have the added benefit of all the other things the Steam Deck can do.
Exactly. It's a whole computer. It's an actual PC.
Like the Steam library. Oh, I can stream my Xbox games. Like everything.
Yeah. You can do anything with it.
And when you actually get to the nuts and bolts of the actual experience of emulation, I've got an OLED screen, which is wonderful.
Yeah. But even with the LCDs deck, it's still beautiful, you know?
And it behaves emulating the game.
Oh, it's so much easier.
This is like night and day. It's the same game. It's almost the same screen, and it's like night and day difference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it looks so much better on the OLED Steam Deck.
How it looks on the Steam Deck is how I remember the game looking in my head, like how I imagined it was when I was a child. This is like the reality of what it's like as a child.
Yeah, exactly. But just the setup experience as well. I know we covered it in the dedicated why the Steam Deck is king of emulation, but just to recap, like you just download EmuDeck and it does it all for you. Like anyone could buy a Steam Deck, download EmuDeck for free. And literally just drag some game files into a pre-populated file system that Emulate does for 100%. You, which you would have to do yourself in these kind of devices. So this is like Noob Central. It holds your hand. EmuDeck does everything for you.
And the experience is better.
And it runs perfectly. These emulators via EmuDeck just run so
60
good.
60 FPS.
Oh, yeah, most of the time, depending on the games. But
I mean, like this game in particular, whilst I can see on this, whilst I'm still, it's at 30, but I know when it was loading, it was down to like 24, 20. The experience is easier on the Steam Deck and the output is better.
It just feels
by
premium,
a million
doesn't it?
miles.
Like it feels like it's meant to work.
The experience on this, and I'm being hard particularly on this one.
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
And I can easily A/B it.
Yes.
So we're looking at the same games.
Totally.
The experience on this is just infinitely worse.
Yes.
For like 75% of the price of that.
Yeah.
Where we get to the RG35XX Plus, the slightly less powerful emulators, then it makes a bit more sense to me.
Well, absolutely. I mean, specifically looking at the Steam Deck OLED, these are like 450 quid versus 60 quid. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
you're saving 400 quid.
So there's no comparison.
There's no comparison there. I mean, again, if you're the better comparison is for a refurbed LCD deck, which you're looking at like 250 quid. Then, you know, it's much closer to the big one's price point. But this alone, I would spend 60 quid on.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I'd buy one of these because I think they're great. But I would go for the H. I'd go for the horizontal layout. I prefer the like Game Boy Advance style where you got the screen in the middle. Well, just like these. Controls on either side. It's just nicer.
Yeah.
And even though it's pretty much the same device, that one has stereo speakers rather than mono speakers here.
Yeah.
But if you like the kind of Game Boy aesthetic, I don't have a problem with this one. Like it plays great. I've been playing Dino Crisis 2 here on PS1.
Yeah.
Runs really well.
For the price, it's amazing. Okay, so that's really the differentiating factor when we get into the weeds of what's best for emulation. obviously budgets are a huge factor in people's decision making. If you just want something to play some of the cool retro games of the past in a small handheld form factor, then get the smaller one.
Yeah.
Because it's like 60 to 80 quid.
But you're looking at hours of headaches.
You will need an internet connection.
Yeah.
You will need to be Googling stuff.
Yeah, if you're new to it. Obviously, if you're a seasoned emulator.
What are you even doing here? We can't help you.
Exactly. But, you already know what you're talking about. And these kind of things are right up your street anyway. Yeah. They're both probably totally cool for you. But for people just stepping in, this is where you want to practice emulating.
And I'd say even for us, who, like you say, we're into this space. I opened this one and was like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's not a nice experience.
And that's because we've experienced how it should be on the deck, and how easy it is on the deck. Again, it just does it all for you and it runs perfectly. This is janky.
Yeah.
And it crashed. We couldn't even open a game earlier.
Yeah, it did.
It's just okay, great. I've not even started yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
And I'll accept those flaws and shortcomings for a budget option.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you do get it working, it does look cool. I can play some of the cool games up to PS1 kind of age.
Yeah.
Great. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Because it's 60 quid.
Yeah.
And then it makes
absolutely.
sense.
Yeah.
You can't compare it to the Steam Deck in that situation.
No. But the screen for this, I haven't seen some of these games look this good. Do you know what I mean?
It looks great.
It looks great. It's a perfect size.
I think the fact that the screen's smaller really lends to that as well.
And I like the 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah.
Because the games scale well.
Yeah.
And it just looks really cool. It's not a 16:9 screen where you're dealing with black bars and stuff.
Yeah.
Fills
or weird
screen.
stretching.
Yeah. It just fills the screen. It plays great. The buttons and stuff I actually really like. It feels cool. I don't really like these shoulder buttons. They're a little bit weird.
They're weird.
But it helps when playing PlayStation games.
HDMI out as well.
Yeah, it's got an HDMI out. There's a bunch of features that it has. It's very similar to the really popular Emu Mini, isn't it?
Yes.
But this is better.
Yeah.
This is more powerful. It's got more features. And I would happily rock one of these in my pocket all the time, and that's the other thing. That's too big. That you're looking at having a bag and a case, this, they come with screen protectors. I haven't bothered putting them on, but
you could technically actually put that in your pocket.
Exactly what I was going to say. I would go on a train or whatever with this in my pocket. You're looking at 6 to 8 hours battery life.
Great.
That's perfect. This I would hands down actually actively seek to buy.
Yeah.
That, no
chance.
Especially now that I've used it. No.
And that's more damning, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's probably the more important thing to come out of this video, rather than the Steam Deck is the best thing for emulation. It's actually, if you're in the Ambernic territory or Mini or whatever, then this infinitely better than this.
Yeah, totally. Again, it all comes down to what games you want to play, but if you're going to get one of these and try and run games that you could just play on this, you can have a better experience on this.
If you feel the real need to play PS2 games or GameCube games and stuff, then your options become limited.
Yeah.
But I would argue if you get to that stage,
just
then
get a Steam Deck.
Get a Steam Deck.
It's so much more powerful. It's
and your experience is so much better.
Exactly. Yeah. So for the noobs out there, I'd say go for one of these.
Yes.
Or just don't bother, save your money and get a Steam Deck. Because it's so much easier.
If you've got less than £100 to spend, then this is great.
Yeah.
If you've got more than that, then start looking at Steam Deck.
Yeah, just save up. Because again, you can get refurbed ones of the LCD deck for so much cheaper. Obviously, the OLED is the best.
Yeah, because battery life and the screen.
Everything about it. But emulating games on the LCD deck will be perfect. You'll still get really good battery life regardless.
Yeah.
And again, it's just easy. That's what it comes down to in my mind. It's easy.
100%. I guess that about wraps it up, Andy.
It does, yeah.
Tell them what to do.
What you can do is like this video because you like us. Leave a comment as to why you like us.
That'll
subscribe
be interesting.
if you like us. And what can they do if they really like us?
They can join channel memberships.
Oh.
Yes, you get early access to some of these videos and you get to join us in the members-only Discord, which is a great place to hang out. There's these conversations and then pictures of dogs.
And these that I just...
Actually, I put memes in there sometimes as well.
Yes,
I did last night. I don't know if you noticed.
No, I didn't notice.
He didn't. He barely goes in there.
That's not true. I've been put photos of these up recently.
He does. I'm joking. So watch another video smashed between our faces.
Yes. Watch the one about why the Steam Deck specifically is amazing.
Great plug.
And
until the next time.
Bye.